Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start our first panel discussion. So I would request everyone to please give a huge round of applause. We are going to resume the session for today. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, the first panel discussion is India's present position in global value chain of key sectors. India's role in the global value chain is evolving as a country becomes increasingly integrated into international trade and production networks. This session will provide an in-depth analysis of India's current position in the key industry segments within the global value chain of electronics manufacturing. Experts on the panel will explore India's strengths, challenges, and opportunities as a significant player in the sector, highlighting how the country's evolving infrastructure, labor force, and policy landscape are shaping its competitiveness on the world stage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now I'm delighted to invite Mr. N. Ramachandran, past President Elsina and CMD Mel Systems and Services Private Limited, to chair the session. Can we all give a huge round of applause, everybody? Mr. Ramachandran is an electronics graduate from the Madras Institute of Technology, Chennai, and has done management education from IIFT School of International Management and the Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University. He has also undergone a management development program in International Trade Center, Geneva, and attended the Duke of Edinburgh program for future leaders in Australia. He has more than 45 years of experience in the electronics industry in varied capacities. Once again, a huge round of applause for Mr. Ramachandran, everybody. Now, I would like to invite all the panelists on the stage, and first I would like to invite for the automotive, Mr. Nagendra Hebbar, GM Purchasing Project Management, Bosch Automotive Electronics India Private Limited. A huge round of applause, everyone. Come on. Mr. Hebbar is a mechanical engineer with postgraduate diploma in management from TAPMI Institute, Manipal. He has over 30 years of industry experience in purchasing and quality management, out of which he has spent 26 years in Bosch. He has in-depth experience in driving localization of various commodities including PCB, supplier development, material cost savings through VAVE and PLI. He has sound knowledge of global supplier management. Once again, a huge round of applause for Mr. Nagendra Hebbar, everyone. Next, I would like to call on stage for security products, Mr. M.A. Johar, President, Strategic Business, Aditya Infotech CP+. Mr. M.A. Johar leads strategic business at CP+, leveraging his 30+ years of experience to propel multinational brands towards unprecedented growth. Renowned for his mastery of strategic projects, Mr. Johar has been instrumental in transforming India's security landscape. Mr. Johar's legacy extends beyond business success. He is a passionate advocate for fostering development within India, actively contributing to reinforcing the nation's security infrastructure. Once again, a huge round of applause for Mr. M.A. Johar, everybody. Next, for Industrial Electronics, I would like to call on stage Mr. N. Sundar, Director, Operations, Cone, India. Can we all give a huge round of applause for Mr. Sundar, everyone? Mr. Sundar N. has a mechanical engineering background and an electronic enthusiast. He has dedicated over 4 decades to the elevator industry, serving as a cornerstone of innovation, safety, and reliability. Beyond professional achievements, Mr. Sundar N. is a passionate advocate for safety, striving to create a safe culture. His contributions to the field have not only elevated the industry but also set a benchmark for the future generations. A huge round of applause, sir. Next, for from Telecom Equipment, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Karthikeyan P., Head Materials Management, Nokia Solutions and Networks. Mr. Karthikeyan is a member of the factory leadership team at Nokia, a mechanical engineer from Pune University and MS from BITS Pilani. Karthikeyan has over 22 years of rich experience in automotive, electronics, and telecom equipment manufacturing factories. He is a passionate engineering professional with interest in learning latest technology and adopting them to make manufacturing process efficient. A huge round of applause, everybody, for Mr. Karthikeyan. Next, productivity in EMS. I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Ashwin Udayashankar, National Sales Manager, Shank Intech. A huge round of applause, everyone. Come on, let's keep clapping. With over 15 years of industrial experience and a passion for automation, Mr. Ashwin Udayashankar has set trends in the Indian industry with Shank gripping systems. A mechanical engineer with a master's degree in marketing, his skills enable him to steer automotive and non-automotive industry projects to success. Once again, a huge round of applause, everybody, for Mr. Ashwin Udayashankar. Thank you. Over to Mr. Ramachandran, sir, to start the session. Thank you.
Good afternoon. There's a slight change in program. We're happy to have the Industry Secretary, Mr. Arun Roy, here. So he will address us to start with, and then we will continue with our program. So welcoming Mr. Arun Roy.
I would request Mr. Sasi Kumar Gendam, sir, to please welcome Mr. Arun Roy, sir. Can we all give a huge round of applause, everybody, and welcome Mr. Arun Roy, sir. Let me give a brief introduction about Mr. Arun Roy, everybody. Mr. Arun Roy, IAS Secretary, Industries, Government of Tamil Nadu. Thiru V. Arun Roy, a 2003 batch IAS, is currently the Secretary, Industries, Investment Promotion and Commerce Department. He has also been Secretary in MSME Department and Chief Executive Officer of Tamil Nadu Infrastructure Fund Management Corporation Limited as Special Secretary to Government, Industries Department, and he successfully conducted the 3rd edition of Tamil Nadu Global Investors Meet 2024. We heartily welcome you, sir. Once again, a huge round of applause, everybody.
President and senior leadership of Elsina, distinguished speakers and panelists on the dais, eminent delegates, leaders of the business and corporate world, friends from the media, good afternoon to all of you. First of all, let me sincerely apologize to you for not being able to make it here for the inaugural function. There was an unavoidable commitment. But I was very keen that I should come and be part of this event. Because Elsina has been an organization which has been working very, very closely with the government of Tamil Nadu for several years. And let me compliment Elsina for organizing the Source India event in Chennai. It is the 14th edition, I believe. And I understand that this has been the largest ever so far. So congratulations. And also a big thank you from Government of Tamil Nadu for choosing to host it in Chennai. The electronic industry is a very significant player of Tamil Nadu's industrial ecosystem. As you are all aware, Tamil Nadu is a manufacturing state. In fact, it's a state which has the largest number of factories. It is a state in India, which has the largest industrial workforce. We contribute about 13%, over 13% of India's manufacturing GVA, though we constitute probably about only 6% of the country's population. And electronic industry forms a major part of that manufacturing ecosystem. 20% of India's electronic output happens from Tamil Nadu. And in some sectors, our lead over other parts of the country are quite significant. I think about 32% of electronic consumer goods, about 45% of computers and peripherals manufactured in India are manufactured in Tamil Nadu. In the case of certain premium phones, about 75% of the production of those brands happen in the state. But more important than all these achievements is the fact that electronics is one of the fastest growing sectors in Tamil Nadu. So we have aspirations to become a $1 trillion economy, and we have aspirations to grow faster than the national average, which we have been maintaining over the last few years. To maintain that kind of economic growth, industrial growth is vital, and some of the sector, which also means that all sectors of the industrial sector cannot also grow simultaneously. So there are certain champion sectors which power our industrial growth, and electronics is one of that. The growth witnessed by the electronic industry in Tamil Nadu has been phenomenal. Just one case to the point is the way the electronic exports from the state has grown. In 2021, it was about 1.6 billion odd US dollars. 23-24, it was 9.56 billion. So it's about 8 times or so. So that's the kind of growth the electronic industry is bringing to Tamil Nadu's economy, and therefore the national economy. So the electronic sector is very vital, and the government of Tamil Nadu is extremely keen that this momentum is maintained. And thanks to the office bearers of ELSINA and the captains of the electronic industry in the state, we have been able to do that. We work very, very closely. The state has a lot of ambitions in this sector. We are not ready to rest on the laurels achieved so far. There are miles to go. We feel that we need to improve our component manufacturing ecosystem. The value addition has to increase. We need to align more closely with the global value, the value chains. So that is one aspect where I want the cooperation of the entire electronic sector in the state. We also want to capitalize on the strengths of our existing industrial ecosystem. For example, we are very good in automobile. We are very good in electronics. So it's a natural fit that auto electronics should also grow in the state. So these kind of synergies, of course, auto electronics is also growing very well in the state, but these synergies needs to be better exploited. Emerging sectors or high value sectors like semiconductors, particularly the design and the packing aspects of the semiconductor industry, and manufacture of semiconductor components and equipment. These are sectors where we want to make a mark in this country. The state also wants to, one of the strengths of the state, and probably one reason why the electronic industry in the state grew very well, is the talent available. We produce the highest number of engineers, technically qualified people, and that has been a big draw for investors, global and national. We want to maintain that status and want to be the hub where engineers and trained technicians for the global electronic industry are prepared or groomed or mentored in this state. So that also calls for the electronic industry of the state to work closely with the state government, the universities of the state in terms of curriculum preparation, program design, and so on. So a lot more work to do, and I'm sure organizations like ELSINA and the captains of industry and the corporate world who are here will continue to support us in this endeavor. I wish this Source India event and exhibition all success, and I look forward to participating in more events and more Source India events in future, which I'm sure will grow from bigger and bigger as the years go by. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for an insightful speech. Well, we're going to start the panel discussion, the first panel discussion, and I would request Mr. N. Ramachandran, sir, to start the session. Right, once again, can we all give a huge round of applause for Mr. Arun Roy, everybody? Thank you. Thank you, sir. I would request Mr. N. Ramachandran, sir, to start the session.
On the global scale, India presently has 2% of the global electronics manufacturing. China has 60%. Vietnam has 4%. So but then it's not something for us to feel sorry about, because if China has 60%, we have a very big opportunity to move forward to tap that kind of a market. So I think, anyway, globally the mood is China plus one, and so for India, there is a massive opportunity waiting. Now, we are talking about by 2030, Indian electronic industry should be at least $500 billion from about 155 now. That's a massive growth. So the kind of opportunities available to build, and out of $500 billion, we are talking about almost 200 billion as exports. So I think the government's thought process is to encourage India to be a reasonable player in the GVC, but then eventually moving forward, the Indian government is talking about by 2047, the Viksit Bharat time frame, Indian government wants the electronic industry to be probably around $1.5 trillion. We are talking about some big numbers here. From 155 billion to 1.5 trillion is a big growth. So the opportunity available to the Indian industry to not only manufacture for India, also for us to plug into the global value chain, the opportunities are enormous. And I'm very happy that we have a very powerful panel here today who will be talking about in their respective areas what is the status and what can be done for us to play a more active role in the GVC. I would like to invite Mr. Heber to start with, to talk about the automotive industry, how do we fare in the GVC, as well as how to improve our status there. Mr. Heber, please.
Hello, welcome to the panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed panelists, as well as dear guest. I'm very happy to be here because the kind of movement we are in, someone call it as a Amrit Kal, because kind of the environment, kind of support what we're getting, and because of the China plus one strategy, very optimistic. And yeah, with electronics, we are not so aggressive on the supply chain, but when you look back on the mechanical front, 20 years back, we are looking more as the Indian domestic player. If you see now, many companies on the mechanical side, the casting, forging, and powder metallurgy, many things they export. And we are part of the global automotive supply chain, supplying to all parts of the world. And why this cannot be done for electronics? We have a very strong government with the positive or inclusive policies, and we have many electronics companies like Infineon, STM, they have batteries of engineers doing the design work in India. So we have a talent. Now, what is the barrier is more on the investment side, because this is a huge investment, And in automotive, generally, especially multinational company like Bosch, the design happens for the worldwide scale, where we produce a product in millions. So when you want to localize, it is difficult now at this moment. What we can do is when we design in India, when the Indian market goes really big, then we have a chance to do the localization. So this is the my perspective. We're already getting a lot of inquiries from the OEMs. Why can't we do the localization here? And we are working towards that. So that's the reason I'm very optimistic about the whatever numbers. Many leaders spoke about the big numbers, and with collective work, I'm sure we'll be able to reach the target. Yeah, over to you, Ramjan.
Sorry. May I now invite Mr. Johar for his comments, please, on security electronics.
See, on the call given by our Honorable Prime Minister, we started Made in Bharat mission in about 2019. And the first step taken over to that is that we have built up the world's third largest factory, India's largest factory at Kadapa for manufacturing CCTV cameras in India. Earlier, the ecosystem was completely there in a different country, and we bring back to India. The second thing is that investing on to the skilled manpower, the productions, indigenized productions, and the R&D facilities. With that, we have launched a complete series, as you all aware that our brand is CP Plus, and we are the largest one providing CCTV surveillance solutions in India. We have given a complete brand, or we have introduced a complete brand called Vidu series. That is basically coming out from the Vishnu's eyes. Vidu is Vishnu's eyes. With that Vidu series, what we change is that we try to take complete ecosystem or complete supply chain out of India only. So the major thing is that all indigenized component to the maximum extent we can use, we have used that. So that the indigenized component, their housings, lenses, everything is of indigenized. So this is 100% indigenized cameras along with the Indian manufacturing and Indian components. The second is that come on to the semiconductor devices and all. To take on to that part, we have tied up with the, because if you do not have anything, the next thing is that collaborative approach. So with that collaborative approach, we have collaborated with L&T for making the chip set in India. So now you will see in future, even the SoC is built up in India, designed in India for the cameras. This is all what we are doing is to make India as a product nation, as the call again given by our Honorable Prime Minister, and increasing the capacity day by day to cater to the global market and the Indian market. With this SoC and other components being manufactured in India, we are getting into the global market, giving them the complete solutions for security systems to the global world.
Thank you. It's very heartening to note that both Mr. Heber and Mr. Johar talked about design, and in India to become, it's eligible to be part of the GVC, because without the design we are going to be dependent on imports in any case. And also Mr. Johar's point that they're working with L&T to design their chips. This is going to be a game changer, and thank you for your efforts in that area. May I now invite Mr. Sundar, please, from the industrial electronics side.
Thank you, Mr. Ramachandran, and good afternoon all, and warm welcome to this panel discussion. And of course, before talking about the industry, I would also like to highlight on 2 points. One is, of course, the challenges, what is prevailing, and the other one is how the innovations what we do could also support us is something which I thought I'll highlight. I think the overall the GVC market is at around 4.8 trillion, and as mentioned by Mr. Ramachandran, I think we are there. India as a country is contributing to around 2% or so. So how well I think this is going to increase, because we already have like dominated countries around. And this is something which we need to see how well we can do it. And for example, if you take our industry, I think it's like almost we do have a good amount of electronics, and of course means a lot of innovations which is happening, which is also going to have a good impact on the global value chain. And what is needed for that is how well we are going to be competitive on that front, and how ease of doing business, or how the certifications or the documentation processes, which is all there for good purpose, but how well these are going to be simplified, so that I think the people who are exporting from outside going to make our life easier, and how as a country we will also be able to extend our wings from current passive to active component manufacturing as well. I think this is something which we look forward, and probably I think government is also having many initiatives in this line, and already I think has been highlighted by the earlier speakers, and I'm sure with this we are going to have a very good trajectory when it comes to electronics, as well as, of course, India is a growing country, and this is definitely going to support us as well. So definitely from our industry perspective also, we will be contributing a lot to the global value chain by ensuring that we do a lot of exports, and of course towards that I think we are ensuring the products are also tuned to. This is something which I thought I'll highlight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May I now invite Mr. Karthikeyan from Nokia to talk about telecom industry.
A warm good afternoon to one and all present. I'll just like to clarify a little bit on the brand confusion. When Richard said those who are there from Nokia stand up for the ones who started the Source India. So we are not from the mobile phone space. Many people still ask that we are the mobile phone manufacturer. So I just clarify that we are not there, and that is still done by a company called HMD. I represent telecom infra structure unit, which is the larger Nokia with 20 billion euros turnover per annum. And we provide the telecom infrastructure, and we are into the B2B space to cater to the telecom service providers across the world. Now coming to the question, what NR sir said about the global value chain. As electronic industry, we are present here for last 15 years, and how it has evolved. The global economy, I will reiterate what Dr. Sashi spoke in the morning, or Mr. Atul Lal said. 4.3 trillion economy, and we are just 2% of that whole. And last year we achieved around 100 billion, which is doubled over the past 6 years, and probably it has become 4 times in 10 years. And there is a government ambition to become 5 times in next 5 years. By 2030, we want to become a 500 billion sales. One of the major factors which are there is like today this whole ecosystem is controlled by majority China, so 60%, and then rest all countries are in single digit. So how do we improve this? In a typical value chain, we have 4 elements, right? We have design, then we have components, then we have these assemblers or the EMS manufacturing, and then we have these OEMs or the brand owners, we call it as who there. In the design space, India is still not much present here. We have talent here. Like if you take our Nokia as an example, we have a big R&D center in Bangalore. 6,000 people are working there. We work predominantly on software. We predominantly on the software of a networking product, whereas the design happens in US and Finland for us. So in that case, it's anyway the part of the global supply chain. And then comes the component ecosystem is highly imported. Telecom manufacturing is almost similar to a electronics or mobile phone manufacturing. When we talk about electronic manufacturing, mobile phone dominate with almost 40 to 50% of the total sales which happens. Telecom is much more complex. Just to give an impression about the telecom electronics. Our PCBs are to the size of 500 to 600 mm by 400 mm, half a meter size, which is almost to the width of this chair where I am sitting in. It has almost, the 5G radio has 15,000 components mounted on the PCB. It is much complex. Our PCB layers goes to as high as 16 layers to 24 layers which are there. So that component ecosystem to be made available is a long-term goal which we have to achieve. But I would like to also talk about the non-electronics element of it. So we talk about electronics, semiconductor, which is not present in the industry. In the telecom equipment, we have almost 75% of the BOM is more of electronics, PCB, and the RF filter. But non-electronics, which is 20%, and recently we were interacting with Department of Telecom. They also found that non-electronics BOM is also not sourced much from the country. And why is it? That ecosystem which is present, like metals, and you have some element of cables, connectors, and those elements. And that one major factor is the cost element which comes into picture, the presence of supply chain in that area, and the capability, productivity, or the quality of those components. So government is trying to encourage that portion of it and trying to introduce an incentive for non-electronics BOM. So that is being worked out now. When they realize in last 2 years of PLI, this procurement is still around 10 to 15% of the total value add which is there. And we are part of the PLI, as I said, the Production Link Institute. These are helping organization to set up or increase the capacities here. So what such scheme does to a company is when we have a manufacturing. Nokia's manufacturing is spread across the world. We have factories in Vietnam, which we operate through our EMS partner. We have factories in Finland. We have factories in Hungary. We have factories in Mexico. The organization is moving towards a global or a regionalization strategy. At the point of sale is where the manufacturing is centered, and also trying to bring the component ecosystem to that particular region. These are the major drivers which are happening in an organization. Earlier, the dependency was one single country. But in this whole scenario, we have China, India and Vietnam are coming up quite fast in this whole value chain. And that can help to improve this local supply chain. So what is happening is when we have global regionalization strategy, we have to have a supplier base who can deliver to the entire world. So which means the capability to deliver to the rest of the world is there. So when we try to introduce a small player to our global sourcing team who have worked with that, so that one is particularly a deterrent to have a global aspect for them to supply to, say, Europe, Mexico, and Vietnam, and also in China. And that is one hindrance, I would say, which is coming up. But the capabilities of the small players have to increase. The productivity and the quality levels of those non-electronics also has to go up, which can help us to improve this particular value chain. That is one element which we like to speak. We are trying to work with suppliers here. And if you see, out of the total 250 suppliers who we have, in India we have just less than 40 suppliers who are here. NR sir is one of the suppliers to us, supplying us solar plates, but it's not much. That is not much going on. And they have to start working with the R&Ds for the next 5 years target. Like Nokia is working on the 6G product, and the R&Ds they have to work with on the material grades, on the components, and then they can come back to the supply after 5-6 years. So last week I was talking to some of the thermal element suppliers in the factory, and they've been working with R&D for past 3 years, and they're able to reach to the stage where the trials are going to happen, and probably next 2 years they may start supplying. So it's a long collaboration which they have to do with the R&D and the design team to increase the value chain. Thank you, sir. So with that, I'll hand over.
Thank you. May I now invite Mr. Ashwini to talk about the crucial role of capital equipment, in building Indian electronics industry and participating in the GVC.
Oh, well, thank you, sir, and a warm welcome to all the guests here. First of all, I would like to just give a short, very small introduction about the company Schunk. So we are on the supplier side of part of this discussion, and Shunk basically manufactures the end-of-arm tooling solutions for robotic applications, and also specific to automotive and electronic industry. So that's where we come into picture, and more into doing material handling systems, end-of-arm tooling solutions, and as well as depaneling machines for PCB manufacturing. So having said that, accelerating the the supply chain for the capital goods, we all know that India is predominantly the automotive industry, and we have been set to the process of the manufacturing of the automotive industry. But now, since there has been a lot of development in the electronic component manufacturing in India, and still has a lot of scope to grow, it's very important for us to understand the process of the electronic industry is quite different from automotive. Wherein electronic industry, we do not have time to really stop the machines or really have time for waiting for the spares and repairs and things. So having said that, it's very important that we have the capital equipment manufacturers, maybe like Shunk, being present in India, and to also support the entire process without any interruptions. Also, the other point which I would like to address is that currently we see that a lot of process are outsourced, or maybe from different countries. So we having a lot of manpower resources and also having technical capabilities, I think in India it's very much possible that we can also design and develop machines which would help to accelerate the manufacturing process of the electronic industry. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. And I must thank, this is a wonderful panel. I mean, I didn't have to remind anybody to stick to their time. Excellent, thank you. We'll just have a few questions to each of the panel members to discuss. Afterwards, we'll open it for Q&A for all of you. Mr. Hebbar, given the expected growth of auto and especially EV industry in India, how do we leverage this to play a major role in the GVC in this industry?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ramachandran. I would like to address it in a three pillar. Mainly, what are the advantages we have? Second, what are the challenges? And what is the expectation from government as well as supply base in India? Because you are the one who's going to do this. We're going to buy, but you need to have a strong supply base. So coming to the advantages, we have a strong government, a lot of incentive been given, and now government is asking, earlier it was the other way around. Earlier industry going to ask a lot of things from the government. Now government is asking, we have done enough, what is that you are doing? So that is a different kind of a proactive government is pushing us. When I say now electronics, I'm also talking about PCB. It comes under electromechanical sometimes mechanical, but this also industry have a similar challenges. PCB industry have a similar challenges. So when I address it electronics, including PCB. The second advantage is the China plus one strategy, where many customers asking, I want BOM without China parts. So this is the advantage we have because of the our geopolitical or isolated world, because of our political system, we are close to US or European Union, where they trust us more. So this is a very big advantage we have compared to our neighboring country. This is the second advantage. And the growing market, overall automotive market is growing in India. If I look at the worldwide car manufacturing, it's around 80 million. It is kind of a standstill. However, the content per electronic per car is increasing. It's a good news for us. That's where we're going to increase the value proposition in the car. Then come to the R&D or engineering advantage what we have. We do a lot of engineering activity for the semiconductor, for the many multinational. How do we convert into design chip in India, use our wafer fabs and OSAT, and produce it for the world? That should be an advantage we have. Coming to the challenge, when we look at, I think Ashwin spoke about turnaround time for the machinery. We can import the machinery. Now, generally, wafer fabs or most of the electronic, even in PCB, they have to run in high efficiency. In the wafer fab, used to be around more than 90% efficiency. When the machine doesn't work, the expert has to come from Austria, Japan, or Korea, or Germany. They come here and tell us what's wrong. Then the spare part has to be imported from, then we lose our 15 days. Then it is a big challenge for us to compete in the world market. So this is the one major challenge I see. The India market is growing, but considering the investment required for electronics, it is not big enough. So because the size of the part is very, very small in electronics, so the transportation cost doesn't matter. So we need to be competitive with all these points. Then the one more challenge we have, China plus one, but many companies are moving to Thailand and Malaysia. The main reason is culturally they are more connected with China. If somebody want to transfer the location from China to Malaysia, it's much easier because there's a big Chinese population in Malaysia, and they understand transfer of technology, the transition is much easier. So we have a challenge. I think this morning LCNA president spoke about creating a colonies, making the experts, the expats more comfortable life in India. That's more one of the topic challenges we have. We need to address, these are the topics. Coming to the, what are the expectations from government is, the main expectation is especially for PCB, electronics, I think government is doing a lot of things. The investment in PCB industry, the raw material is almost 45 to 50%. When we import the raw material from other countries, it's expensive. You don't have much mileage. So we need to welcome the biggies of the laminate player or a copper sheets. We need to invite them and make the industry or make them attractive for them. This is one of the major challenge what we are facing to be competitive. Second, my expectation is don't think small, think big. Don't try to reinvent the wheel only in India. Try to partner with go for joint ventures, go for the technology partnership with the companies so that you can easily access the global market. This is the one more expectation what I have with my supply base or a supply chain value creations. Then the better incentive for the PCB industry from the government is one more expectation. The next one is the bridging the skill gap. Now suddenly the electronic boom going to happen, the talent what's there in the market suddenly get a demand, and they're hopping from one to other, then you lose out on the skill set available. So I would like to request the government to do, they're doing a lot of things on a Skill India initiative, but much more required to do. Also from the supply chain, our supply base, please consider the talent as one of the very important requirement to go global, to be in a good position in the global value chain. If we address these kind of points, I'm sure we'll be able to achieve whatever dream we have. We have done it past in the mechanical field. I'm sure we'll be able to do even for electronics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hebbar. Mr. Johar, the security electronics market is increasing exponentially in India and globally. Do you have the ecosystem to take a good share of this market?
Yeah, see, the thing is this, that Indian security industry or security and surveillance industry per se is experiencing a complete paradigm shift. It is like that the objective of the security and surveillance solution is changed along with the time. Earlier it was just the monitoring, and it basically enhanced to monitoring to detection, and then detection to recognition. And now it has reached to a stage where the analysis becomes the important part of the security and surveillance solution. With these integration of new technologies and the customization requirement of the industry, lot of new artificial intelligence coming into the picture, like People are asking for facial recognition, behavior analysis, then the automatic alerts for different kind of exposures and different kind of behaviors of the persons. So we at CP Plus, what we have done is that we have made up the complete indigenized R&D for specifically for developing the artificial intelligence. We've got about 250 plus R&D engineers working day and night to meet the coming on to the requirement of the new customization of customers. Everybody is coming off for a new requirement, right? Railway want a thing that if somebody is fallen off onto the platform, that alert should go. Somebody in the buses has the panic alarm button, then panic alarm button should connect it to the cameras and it should see that. So those all are customized requirements which are coming globally. So to address that global market, we are working at the back end to meet all those requirements, either in-house or with collaboration. The second thing is that these things are coming with the challenges which the inaugural speakers have also mentioned, that whenever you increase the artificial intelligence or you enhance the intelligence of any system, that comes with some negatives also. So for that, now the policies has been made by government also. So there are STQC certified tests. The security surveillance industry is the first industry wherein the Indian standards are being made, and the cameras to be sold in India has to pass those Indian standards. So this is what is the first thing which has happened to the security industry, and we are qualifying for that. Then there are essential requirements like trusted source and all. So all the cameras manufacturers has to pass through that trusted source and all, so that whatever you are, because this is the eye and ear of any system. So whatever you are watching or whatever you are using should be should have that data protection with you and not going outside on. The second is the major customization onto the product side, hardware side also. So we have almost 800 plus different type of cameras manufactured in India to meet the different requirement of the customer. If you want automatic number plate reading at a traffic junction, you need to have a different camera. If you want a face recognition, you need to have a different camera. If you want the crowd monitoring, you will have a fisheye camera installed at the rooftop so that it can show. If you want the heat mapping of the area, that where the crowd is more and all, you need a different kind of camera. So to meet all these requirements and to get into the global market or means to address the global value chain, we have to develop, and it basically makes it a journey, not a destination. And day on day, night, year on month, we are producing new products, customizing new products, making the changes depending on to the requirement to meet these guidelines.
Thank you. And now in the security area, AI is becoming a very important aspect. So some of your comments on that.
Yeah, that is what I said, that after the introduction of artificial intelligence, the camera is no more a monitoring thing, or it is not being used for monitoring only. It is used for analysis also. Now in a police control room, we install about 140,000 cameras in Delhi Police Safe City. Now every hook and corner have a different kind of requirement. If you are getting into a scalded place, then the pupil movement there is important, that alert has to come. If you are getting into a crowded area, then crowd management become important, and then you have to do. If you are getting into a safe building, or basically in an area where the unauthorized entries are not this, then you have to have the face recognition so that no unauthorized person there. Even in the industries, our cameras are being used for monitoring of the product at the conveyor belt itself, that whether the product coming in is of good quality or the desired quality or not. So these kind of artificial intelligence are getting into that. I just give you an example. In one of the state, we have installed the camera at all liquor shops. said even a bottle sold catch by the camera, and that calculation goes on to the excise department that how much bottles have been sold in a day. So that is how the artificial intelligence is working onto the systems.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Mr. Sundar, what are the challenges faced by the elevator industry and how will innovation help in India contributing to the GVC? I'll just add another point there. See, India is now becoming the construction capital after China slowed down, right? So I think the market for elevator and related, it's going to really boom in a big way. So how we can play an important role in the GVC, leveraging this kind of a growth?
So thank you. And as I mentioned earlier briefly, I think if you take the electronic part in an elevator industry, it's almost like 20% plus. But if you see, it controls the balance 80%. I think electronic plays a major role here. And to talk about the challenges, of course, challenges are the high import costs currently, and also tariffs, and we also have the logistics or the freight cost, which is quite high, especially when it comes to China. And apart from this, we also have this BIS certification for the importers or the other countries which is exporting, and due to which we also find some of the manufacturers they try to refrain from exporting from their side. So it is something which we need to see how probably we can simplify both this, as well as we also have the EPR system in place towards sustainability. I think means how well we can make these areas simplified. I think that is going to also ease currently the exporters of the other countries, so that means we can get cost-effective components here, and with which we will be adding value to the GVC. And to talk about the innovation, if you see, I think since I'm from Kone, India, and in Kone, a lot of focus is given on innovations, and Kone was the only elevator company which was 8 times in a row published in Forbes magazine as the best innovation company in the industry. I think a lot of innovation has taken place, and today if you see with the digitalization increasing, I think the more for smart elevators, and we also have like 24/7 connectivity, connected services, so that we can cater to predictive kind of maintenance. I think all these are innovations, and when it comes to high-speed elevators, we also have carbon fiber ropes towards reducing weight, and we also have the regen drive. So overall, if you see, the industry is tuned up for many, many innovations. Not only that, when you have to export and also have to get a good share in the GVC, we need to not only have a cost competitive product, but also we should be code compliant. I think code compliance is something which is very, very important, and good that already India, we are coming out with this IS 17900, which is going to be equivalent to the EN 81 standards. And this is once again going to ensure that a lot of opportunities are there for us to export to other countries, and thereby adding a good value or a good share to the global value chain. So this is in a summary I would like to mention. And with regard to your other question on how we are going to encash the geopolitical or the slowdown which is happening in China or whatever, I think when you take our industry, I think predominantly in the market 75% is residential. I think residential is something which is there, and with the urbanization growing, I think we are currently at 35%, 35 at urbanization, and India has only one thing, which is growth, growth, and growth. And the growth perspectives are quite very high. And like what China had almost like 2.5 or 3 decades before, we have a very good demography which is developing in India, and this demography is also going to make a drastic change in this residential percentage what I mentioned. And thereby these are going to be a big booster for not only the economy but also as an industry for us to grow as well as export by this cost competitive products and add value to the GVC. I think this is something which we are looking at, and as already mentioned, I think there are a lot of initiatives by the government like PLI or NPE and Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiman. I think a lot of things are there from the government as well to see how this trajectory can be increased, or how the ease of business and how this active component manufacturing is something which we are still to happen in a big way or to start in India. And these things are going to definitely support in ensuring that we all get a very cost competitive product by Make in India initiatives, and thereby also trying to bring in some of the best practices which is already there in SIA, and ensure that we add a very good value to the GVC as such. So this is something which I thought I'll share, Mr. Ramachandran. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you brought on an important aspect for if you want to be part of the GVC. There's a lot of these approval process are coming up in Europe and US. A lot of it linked to the environmental issues. I don't think industry in India has really kind of got into the details to understand, and then, but when it's become serious in a few years' time, suddenly it might hit us, and I think I would request the industry to really start paying attention to these aspects so you don't get surprised after a few years. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Mr. Karthikeyan, with tech changes from 4G to 5G to 6G moving rapidly, how do you think that India can plug into the GVC for telecom? Can we at some point lead the tech race? We are already developing, 4G, and then 5G is coming, local development with CDOT and TCS and all that. So what is your opinion that whether can we eventually lead, and what is that situation?
Coming to India, leading the tech space, yes, definitely. As I said, one of the value chain is where we started this assembling and all this process. I'll just take an example. When we started here, or the electronics started here, the level of productivity and quality were not so great. But then over a period of time, it has all evolved. The process and the production has become very efficient. The organization has started adopting a lot of automation, thanks to companies like Shank and Mel's and many other automation robotics which has come into picture. It helped to become manufacturing as very efficient and productive. That is helping move manufacturing to the country when we have a cost-efficient manufacturing. So that's one element of GVC which brings in here. So my request to the corporate or the organization manufacturing sector is please invest on improving the productivity, improving the skill sets of an organization that brings you manufacturing. As I said, when we compare to different domains, like there's in European manufacturing or manufacturing in Hungary, manufacturing in Mexico, it's not as at par what we have in India and Vietnam. So that edge can bring a lot of business to the country. So that is one area where we can help to lead. And the second aspect is the design, which you also spoke. The design aspect, where the Tatas are getting into the design aspect, that is very, very important element to improve the value chain and put India into the roadmap of the global landscape. That is one. Component manufacturing is capital intense. As I said, the MSMEs and others entering that space is limited. It can be solution providers to that area, but then that one has to be a much bigger, I would say, a political influence to bring big giants to the country. So that is not something which we are able to do as OEMs. When you speak to our component suppliers who are much bigger than us and dictating terms, so they said we have a capital intense in different countries, and that is catering to the world. In COVID, we had a shortage, but now there is enough supplies available. So moving to a different region is not something which they are keen on it. And one more element I would like to speak on the challenges of this particular value chain is we have a very complex tariff structure in the country, which Mr. Sundar also spoke just now. So we are at an average 7.4% tariff compared to what China has at 4% and Vietnam at say 3% and then Mexico 2.7%. And often these tariffs keep changing over a period of time, leading to a misinterpretation and lot of disputes with the customs and government. That is troubling us in terms of the manufacturing space. They say there are complex tariffs, suddenly you will impose duties. And then the manufacturing space, the global MNCs, they'll think about setting up factories here. Now, what is happening because of this tariff is, recently US started speaking about reciprocal taxes, saying that like telecom equipments are taxed at 20% duty. 20% is, it takes away almost everything what you are getting out of it. So they started talking about reciprocal duty. If you're imposing duties to that extent, same amount of duties will be set here. When there was the news about tariffs being imposed in Mexico, we were a bit hopeful that manufacturing can come to India. Then we started talking about reciprocal taxes. European Union is also talking about retaliating with a similar amount of taxes. So one request to the government is, the tariff may improve your local manufacturing, but on a global trade scenario, it may not be really helping in terms of the knowledge transfer, technology transfer, which is important for improving our value chain here. So that's, with this point, I will say we have to simplify the tariff structure, ease of business, which is there. Schemes and policies are there, which is very good, which will help us invest in all. But technology and talent is something which we have to bring in on the component manufacturing to improve our value chain and positioning in the global value chain of electronics manufacturing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Ashwini, how important is the availability of local capital goods for our significant presence in the GVC for the electronic industry?
Thank you. Like all the panelists, we discussed about the scope for the improvement and the challenges. Of course, we are already in competition. We need to catch up to the market of what China is doing. Probably China is at a very larger scale. So when we are talking about this, I would like to put a word about automating the process, adding automation to your existing process. Now, if we see the recent data or the last year's data, the robot installation in China was, if I'm not wrong, it was, I think it was around, in India it was, there are 3 robots for every 1,000 people, whereas in China it's more than 600 robots for every 1,000 working. So, having said that, when we are doing the process here, the localization, it's very important that we also implement automation. And there are a lot of equipments, components available for improving the speed, accuracy of the speed of the production, as well as the accuracy of the production. Because speed and accuracy are both should go hand in hand to really, to put India on a GVC level. So it's very important. And having said that, when we are talking about increasing the production, it's very important that we have the local sourcing. When it comes to Schunk, we have the local application engineering team, the design team, as well as stocking the products here, so that whatever is necessary for keeping up the production, we can always support the manufacturers here. So it's very important that we also do this support system to keep the production ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks a lot, panel members. Anyway, I think for us to be a serious player in the GVC, it's based on the discussions today, it can distill into just a few points. One is, of course, the local supply chain is extremely important, and that has to be built up. Then the design capability, and I think without design, we are not going to get anywhere. So both the products and components have to be designed, so that's extremely important. Then the skilling, and these are the things which becomes extremely important in building or playing a bigger role in value chain. I would add to that the industry should work together like what they do in China, and with a long-term goal. I think generally in India, all of us in the industry plan for very short term. Maybe we are more influenced by the Americans in terms of quarterly results. But if you want to succeed in from 2% to something significant of even 15-20% in the GVC, we have to really think long term. I would really recommend reading, I would all of you to read a book called The 100-Year Marathon. It's about how China planned in the year 1949 to be a global leader and a global power in 2049. We say 2047 is a Viksit Bharat. China has a target that in 2049 they will be the global superpower. But that didn't come by their thinking for next 2 years. They started thinking in 49. They have an excellent laid down program. I would really recommend you to read that book in terms of how, as a country, the government and the industry work together. They're very secretive about the kind of plans which most of them, including the CAA, did not know till recently. They worked very well, and as a country, they've really enormously improved, and that with a plan. I think if we want to make a significant impact in the GVC, we have to work together as a country, and there has to be a very close-knit working relationship between both the government and the industry. So it's, industry also, we should work amongst us as partners and not rivals, and that's the only way we can build the industry here. I would like to stop here and open it for some Q&A. Raju, do you have some time? Yeah. Please feel free to ask questions. Please identify yourself. May I request that you don't make comments, just ask the question. So it's easy for us to move faster. Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Good afternoon. I'm Suresh Kumar. I'm the founder of Susan Future Technologies. We manufacture communication systems and base stations. I have a question for the panel. I have seen the component manufacturing is given more importance, and there is a lack of source and suppliers for many telecom equipments and like Sundar sir mentioned as well. But do we have a database where the MSMEs can look into and get ourselves ready to supply those parts as a import substitution and be ready for this supply chain? Thank you.
Yeah, MSME is anyway going to the backbone of a growing economy. Right now, what we said, the productivity level of MSME is not at par with the emerging or the developed economies. But coming specific to the specific question what you asked, the substitutions can happen, as I said during my earlier session, that we work almost 5-6 years ahead into the supply chain. So the first point of contact is the R&D, which works on the components which are required for the 5 years ahead. And there is an R&D procurement which works dedicatedly on working on those particular components. And from there it comes to the mass supply. So it is not that at some point you'll be able to enter directly. There are passive electronics and other things which are more often catalog items can be picked up based on the cost and efficiencies. But then if you're working on components which are very specific to an industry, be it telecom or mobile phone manufacturing or other electronics items, it has to start much ahead of time. Now the big question is how do you get access to that particular group, which becomes difficult. As I said, the R&D spread across on the global organization will be spread to different countries. It will be in Europe, it might be in US, it might be in there. But there is a team which can connect you with that, but it is very difficult and it's a long journey, long process. Even a metal items to get qualified takes a long process. And there are, for every component, there are qualifications done by the R&D expert where rigorous testing which is done before it comes to the mass production stage. Like typically telecom equipments is there in the outdoor setup for 15-20 years, unlike other servers or in consumer goods which is there in indoor. It is more exposed to say minus 40 degrees to plus 50 degrees centigrade temperature, and the reliability levels are way higher for that. So that work is very extensive. It happens 5-6 years ahead of time. Early access to that particular, the development team is the key to enter that space slowly. Thank you. Hope I have answered your questions. Maybe.
Yes, thank you.
You can visit Source India portal more frequently, so you'll get your answers there also. Elsina is taking a lead into that what all components are there in India and what all components are being required by the Indian industry, and how can Source India can help you in that.
I think Elsina has a Source India site. It's an e-commerce site, so if people visit that, you can also look at products and register yourself. Thank you. Are there any other questions? We will, please.
Just
This is the
Ramchandra.
last question because it's time for lunch.
Mr. Ramchandra, I would like to add. Mr. Ramchandra? Maybe Goyalji, I think you have done a fantastic job on the PCB, giving details. There's a booklet you prepared from the Elsina side. Similarly, for electronic, if you do something like that, it would be really helpful. Maybe I'm just responding to Suresh's question. Yeah, kind of report, what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, who are the players currently. So kind of report if you prepare, that would be maybe for the electronic industry also will be useful. Just a suggestion, I don't know what the challenges you have. Because I have seen your PCB report, it was very extensive, very well done. So that's the reason I'm just referring to that. Yeah, thanks.
So myself is Kirit Booth from Valtech Electronics, Gujarat. We manufacture RF connectors. Basically, Indian manufacturers are also competitive enough to compete with China competitors. But there are so many instances and so many importers are importing goods from China in inferior way without paying proper duty system. So Indian manufacturers are facing these problems to compete China products. What should be done by Elsina to protect Indian manufacturers' incentives? What we can do?
This question is about the panel's pay grade. In any case, I will ask Raju to make a comment on this.
So you are asking about protection of component manufacturers in the country?
No, Raju, he says that people are importing products by not declaring properly, paying a low duty or paying no duty at all. This is an issue of representing to the customs, CBEC, and taking some action on that.
Okay. So, I'll just sit down and try to... So this is a general problem and it happens very frequently in this country. So we have represented several times about it. In fact, there are some cases we have even taken to the DRI, the Department of Revenue Intelligence. So, I mean, this is something which unless the industry brings it up and gives us examples, because the problem is that, I should not use that word, but I think at the gate you have somebody who's allowing it to happen, from where it is coming in, and obviously there is a commercial interest in this. So this is something which is not legal. So we need to highlight this problem, and whenever there is an issue like this, we have taken it to the government, and government does act on it. So, but often there is an issue of not having clarity on the description of the item, and the HS code, matching with all that. Yeah, but you can definitely let us know, and you can, send us the detail, and we will certainly take it up. But yes, it is a problem, and it is a fairly big problem, and we have got also some documentation on that. So, which, I mean, it is there. Your point is very valid.
Hello, sir. I'm Dr. Purva Dongre. I have a company called Consultway Infotech. We are advisor to Maharashtra government and consultant with government associates. So basically, my question is that a lot of private companies face a lot of regulations, and they are not able to expand the challenge they are facing because of regulations. So you as industry leaders, what are your expectations and what are the changes you are looking in the regulations which are set for manufacturing units or companies as per. So that's what is my question.
Actually, this is something where Elsina headquarters is constantly interacting with the government. And based on the feedback from the industry, they are kind of working with them to see how these regulations can be, softened. And then it's something which, if you have specific issues, please write to Elsina headquarters. They will take it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot for the excellent panel. Thank you, the panel members. I hope all of you enjoyed this. And, I will conclude this session at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you to all the esteemed panelists for sharing your valuable insights with us today. And we appreciate the time and expertise you have shared with us. Thank you once again. I would request Mr. Sanjeev Narayan, past President Elsina and co-founder Syrma, SGS Technologies, to give away the mementos as a token of appreciation. I request you to please come on the stage. Can we all give him a huge round of applause, everybody? Starting with Mr. N. Ramachandran, sir, past President Elsina and CMD Mel Systems and Services. Thank you so much for the panel discussion. Can we all give a huge round of applause for Mr. N. Ramachandran, everyone? Next, we would like to thank Mr. Nagendra Hebbar, sir, GM Purchasing Project Management Bosch, Automotive Electronics India Private Limited. Once again, a huge round of applause for Mr. Nagendra Hebbar, everyone. Next, we would like to thank Mr. M.A. Johar, President, Strategic Business Aditya Infotech. Can we all give a huge round of applause for Mr. M.A. Johar, everyone? We would like to thank Mr. N. Sundar, Director Operations, Cone India, for being here. Everyone, can we all give a huge round of applause for Mr. N. Sundar? Next, would like to thank Mr. Karthikeyan P., Head Materials Management, Nokia Solutions and Networks. Thank you. Next, we would like to thank Mr. Ashwin Uday Shankar, National Sales Manager, Shank Intech. A huge round of applause for Mr. Ashwin Uday Shankar, everyone. Thank you. Let's take a group picture. Yes. One last time, a huge round of applause for the entire panelists, everybody over here. Thank you so much once again. Well, we are going to take a break for lunch now. Thank you so much once again, one and all. So, the second session is going to be on supporting policies and ecosystem for electronics manufacturing. So we're going to take a break for lunch now. I request all the registered delegates to please go outside the hall. We have the lunch arranged for all the registered delegates. So I would request you to please have lunch and please be back within 30 minutes. I request everyone to please be back by 30 minutes. We are running late, so we will be starting the next panel discussion in 30 minutes. Thank you.